Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. So in the last class, we were studying about the association rule mining problem. Okay, I'll just repeat the things. So see here, what exactly an association rule is. The association rule, see it will be in the form of an implication expression, that is x implies y, where both x and y are the item sets here. Okay, here x is also an item set and y is also an item set. So it will be an implication expression that is expressed in the form of x implies y. Okay, so for example, if we consider this transaction data set, okay, so for this we can express one of the example here, that is milk comma diapers implies beer. So this is one of the example of an association rule. Okay, it is going to say that whenever a person buys milk and diaper, then he's also going to buy a beer. Okay, so we were studying about this association rule, and we have seen what are the metrics we can use to evaluate the association rules, that is support and confidence. Okay, and then I explained what is the importance of support and confidence. And now that is coming to the association rule mining task. So in case of association rule mining, we will be having a set of transactions here. So that set of transactions is denoted by T. See, among those set of transactions, we need to find, or we need to mine all the association rules which are going to satisfy these two conditions. That is, support must be greater than or equal to minimum support. Okay, and confidence must be greater than or equal to minimum confidence. All the rules which are going to satisfy these two conditions, those rules will be extracted, and they will be considered as the that is good association rules. So this is the thing we will be doing in the association rule mining task. But the thing is, see, whenever we try to list all the association rules, and if we compute the support and confidence here for each of the rules, and then if we apply these conditions, then it will be the problem is going to become very lengthy here, because we even though the that is some of the rules, if they don't satisfy the support also, we need to calculate the confidence value also. See, the first thing, that is calculation of the frequent item sets, seen that only support count is required. So only calculation of the support is sufficient to decide whether it is a frequent item set or not. Suppose if we follow the brute force approach here, in this we will be calculating the support and confidence for all the rules here. Even though some of the that is rules or the item sets are infrequent here, we will be calculating the support and confidence for all the rules here. That is the disadvantage of the brute force approach. So it is computationally prohibitive, or it is very expensive. I had given one example. So see here, see all these items, they contain three that is items here. All these rules contain three items, that is milk, diapers, and beer. Okay, so now see, if you look at the support, see it is same for all these items, that is zero point 0.4, and we have calculated the confidence also. Suppose if this item set milk, diapers, beer itself, if one of these rules, if it is infrequent, or if any of these item sets, if it is infrequent, then all the other item sets will also be infrequent. We don't need to calculate the support or the confidence for the other rules here, if one of the item sets or the rule is infrequent here. Okay, this is the way where we can that is reduce the computation. See, in the previous method where we had followed the brute force approach, where we had calculated the support and confidence for all the rules, whether it is a good association rule or interesting association rule or not, whether it is a frequent site item set or not, we have calculated the support and confidence for all the item sets. So in this example, see, all these items or the rules, they contain the item set milk, diapers, and beer. If any one among these becomes infrequent, then no need to calculate the support or confidence for the other item sets, because all the other will also be infrequent. So that is the method we can follow in order to reduce the complexity or computation. So we can divide this association rule mining problem into two steps here. So one step is where we will be generating the frequent item sets. That is the first step in the association rule mining problem, that is frequent item set generation. So in case of the first step, we will consider all those item sets that are going to satisfy the minimum support. So I had given one example. Say, for example, if the minimum support is zero point 0.5 and here the calculated support is zero point 0.4, since this zero point 0.4 is less than the minimum support 0.5, so it will become infrequent. So if you want to call the item set or the rule as frequent, then the support of that rule or the item set must be greater than minimum support. So for example, here, if you got the calculated value as 0.6 and the given minimum support is 0.5, since this 0.6 is greater than 0.5, we can consider these item sets as frequent. Okay, so that is the thing that we will be doing in the first step, that is frequent item set generation. So we will be generating all the item sets. Those are going to satisfy the minimum support value. So if the support, calculated support, if it is greater than or equal to the minimum support, then it will be considered as a frequent item set. That is the first step which we will be following in the association rule mining problem. Okay. Second step is rule generation. See, where we will be calculating the confidence of the rules, and then we will compare the confidence with the minimum confidence. So again, if the confidence is greater than minimum confidence, then all those rules will be considered as high confidence rules, and these are the required rules which we will be maintaining here. So generate all the high confidence rules from each of the frequent item sets, where each rule is a binary partition of the frequent item sets. So see here, we need to generate the all the that is high confidence rules. High confidence means the confidence of this rule which you have calculated, it must be greater than or equal to minimum confidence. So all those rules will be considered as the high confidence rules. So such rules we will be keeping here. Okay. So there are two steps here. So first step is, that is frequent item set generation, where we will be generating all the frequent item sets. Okay, by considering this condition where support is greater than or equal to minimum support. That is the first step. Second is rule generation, where we will be generating or extracting all the high confidence rules here. Okay, using the frequent item sets which are found in the first step. So from these frequent item sets, we will be generating the rules which are having the higher confidence. Okay. So now coming to the first step, that is frequent item set generation. I told that the first step in the association rule mining is frequent item set generation. See, for generating frequent item sets, see, we have got two approaches here. Okay, even though they are not much efficient here, okay, but still we can consider them for generating the frequent item sets. So first one in that is lattice structure. Okay, so lattice structure, it is one of the that is the method that is used to generate the frequent item sets here. So in this case, see, what we will be doing is, we will list all of the possible that is frequent item sets. We will list all of the possible frequent item sets here. For example, if you got that is k items, the total number of frequent item sets generated by this method will be 2 raised to k minus 1. Okay. So suppose if you exclude the null set, that is the reason why we have subtracted -1 here. So then that value becomes 2 raised to k minus 1. Okay, that is the total number of frequent item sets generated in the lattice structure. Okay. So here, suppose if the k value is very large, then this process is going to take a lot amount of time. So the search space of this method, it is going to expand exponentially here. So I'll give you example how we are going to follow this method. Okay, just try to understand here. In case of lattice structure, say we will be finding all of the possible frequent item sets here. So we will be enumerating all the list of possible item sets here. For example, if you have got k items, we will be generating up to 2 raised to k minus 1 frequent item sets here, excluding this null set, that is -1 stands for the null set here. Okay. So now in many of the applications, see, this k value will be very large here. So the search space of this method, see, it is going to expand exponentially here. It will be very computationally expensive to find all of the that is frequent item sets here. Okay. So for example, see, if the k value is 3, then 2 raised to 3 minus 1, that is 8 minus 1, 7. So you'll be generating 7 frequent item sets. Suppose if you got 4 items, okay, then 2 raised to 4 minus 1 is nothing but 16 minus 1, that is 15 item sets you'll be generating here, frequent item sets. So like that, if the k value is going to increase, then the number of frequent item sets which are generated, it is also going to increase here. Okay. So in many of the practical applications, see, it will be somewhat difficult to use this method, because there we will be having a large number of items. If you have got the large number of items, say, the exponential search space is also going to increase, and it will be very, very expensive to find the that is frequent items sets here using this method. For example, I'll give you the example. So see here, I got total 5 items here, A, B, C, D, E. Okay. So now the total number of that is frequent item sets generated in this method is 2 raised to 5 minus 1. 2 raised to 5 minus 1 is nothing but that is 2 raised to 5 is 32 minus 1, 31 frequent item sets will be generated in this method. All these 31 frequent item sets are given here. Okay. So null set, if you exclude, say other frequent item sets are that is single items A, B, C, D, E, and then combination of two items if we consider that is A, B, and then A, C, and then AD, AE, and then starting from B, we have got BC, BD, and then BE, and then CD, CE, and then DE. See, all these are two frequent item sets. Then if you go for the frequent item sets that contain three items, that is combination of three elements, that is ABC, and then ABD, and then ABE, like that. See, totally there will be 31 frequent item sets which will be generated for 5 item, that is item set. Okay, if you consider the 5 items here, A, B, C, D, E, then the total number of frequent item sets generated in this method is, that is including single item, 2 items, 3 items, 4 items, and 5 items, it will be equal to 31 frequent item sets. So if you have large number of items in your transaction data set, then the number of frequent item sets that is generated, it is also going to increase. Okay, so that is the disadvantage of this using this lattice structure method. So this is the first method. Okay, so now coming to the second method, that is the brute force approach. See, again, in case of brute force approach, we will be generating the that is candidate frequent item sets here. So we will be finding the candidate frequent item sets. See, the method which we will be following here is, see, we will compare each of the candidate item set with the transactions here. Okay, if it is present, then we will be incrementing the support count of that candidate item set. See, candidate item sets are nothing but, see again, if I start here, so see this example, see A, B, C, D, E, those are candidate item sets. Then combination of two elements is A, B, A, C, A, D, A, E, those are also candidate item sets. And then A, B, C, and then A, B, D, A, D, E, and then A, B, C, D, all these are candidate item sets. So in this, the bread and then milk, diapers, beer, and then eggs, and then coke. See, all those single elements will be considered as candidate item sets. And then if you consider the two elements, bread and milk, and then bread and diaper, bread and beer, bread and eggs, and then milk and diaper, okay, and then diapers, and one more is that is, yeah, bread and milk. Only that is candidate two item sets. So like that, say we will be generating many candidate item sets. All those candidate item sets, they will be compared with the transactions. If they are present in the transactions, then the support count of that will be incremented here. Okay. So again, the disadvantage of this method is it is very, very computationally expensive. Complexity of this algorithm is big of NMW. So here, see, N is nothing but number of transactions. Okay, M is nothing but number of candidate item sets. So which is equal to 2 raised to k minus 1. So this 2 raised to k minus 1 stands for total number of candidate item sets which we will be generating here. Okay, and then W is the transaction width here. So again, this method is very, very computationally expensive. Okay, so see here, in case of brute force method, see each of the item set in the lattice, it will be considered as a candidate frequent item set. So candidate frequent item set means here totally we have got 6 items like bread, milk, and then diaper, beer, eggs, and then cola. That is single items. They are going to form the 6 candidate item sets, and then combination of 2 items like bread, milk, bread, diaper, and then bread, beer, and then diapers, egg, like that. See, totally there will be in general m candidate item sets, which is equal to 2 raised to k minus 1. Okay, so all those items sets will be considered as a candidate item sets. And then in order to calculate the support, say we will be comparing these candidate item sets with the transaction here. If that candidate item set is present in the transaction, then the support count of that will be incremented. See, for example, if you consider the bread as one of the candidate item set, see the support count of that is 1, 2, and then it is appearing in 3 and then 4. So support count of it is 4 because we have compared this candidate item set bread with each of the transactions. So it has resulted in 4. Okay, so like that, we need to calculate the support count for each of the candidate item sets by scanning the database or the data set here. Okay. So we need to compare all the candidate item sets with all of the transactions here. So which will be very difficult, and also it is very complex and expensive. See, complexity of this algorithm is big of NMW, where N is the number of transactions and M is the number of candidate item sets and W is the transaction width here. So M value, see, it will be equal to 2 raised to k minus 1. See, as we have seen in the previous method, so total number of candidate item sets generated will be 2 raised to k minus 1. So this method is very expensive here. So now the thing is, how we can reduce the computational complexity of these frequent item set generation. Okay, so these two methods which we have discussed here, that is, first one is lattice structure. So lattice structure is also expensive and it is also complex, because here we will be generating 2 raised to k minus 1 candidate item sets if you have got k items. And in the brute force approach, again, we will be generating 2 raised to k minus 1 candidate item sets, and then we will be comparing that with the transactions or the database. See, if it is present, then the support count of that is incremented. Okay, so support count of that is incremented, and that will be considered as the support count of the candidate item sets here. So if you got k items, then the total number of candidate item sets will be 2 raised to k minus 1. So both the approaches are computationally expensive here. Okay, so then what we need to do in order to reduce the complexity and the expense of frequent item set generation? Okay, so see here, in order to reduce the complexity of the frequent item set generation, see, we will be following two, that is, strategies here. So first one is, we will be reducing the number of candidate item sets. See, I told that candidate item sets will be 2 raised to k minus 1 if you have got k item sets here. So for example, see, in this example, you got total 5 items here. Okay, so if you got 5 items, total number of candidate item sets will be 2 raised to 5 minus 1 is nothing but 31. If you got 4 items, 2 raised to 4 minus 1 is 15. So like that, the number of candidate item sets are going to increase in these two methods. So in order to avoid that, one of the method which we can follow in order to reduce the complexity here is, we can reduce the number of candidate item sets. That is M value. So we can reduce this number of candidate item sets by using one of the principle that is called as a priori principle. So a priori principle, it is one of the very efficient method that we can follow in order to reduce the number of candidate item sets. So I'll explain that in the next coming topics. What is that a priori principle is? Okay, just try to remember this one. Both the approaches which we have got for frequent item set generation, see, they are expensive and also they will be very complex. So in order to reduce the complexity here, we are following two strategies. In that, first strategy is reducing the number of candidate item sets, that is M value. So this we can reduce using the a priori principle, see, which is one of the best methods which can be followed in order to reduce the, that is, candidate number of candidates here. Okay, so now coming to the second approach, that is strategies reducing the number of comparisons. So comparisons is, that is, we are comparing each of the transactions with a list of items here. Okay, so that is list of candidate item sets are compared with the transactions in the database. Okay, if they are present, then we will be incrementing the support count. Okay. So that also we can reduce in order to reduce the complexity here, reduce the number of comparisons, that is n into m. Okay, so in order to reduce the number of comparisons, see, we can use some of the efficient data structures here. So data structures like hash tree, which we have got, that we will be studying in the coming topics, that we can use in order to reduce the number of comparisons. So if you use the or if you map the candidate item sets to the tree structure in the hash tree format, then you can easily reduce the number of, that is, item sets which are generated, candidate item sets which are generated, and also you can reduce the number of comparisons using this data structure. Okay, or else even you can compress the data set also. Okay, so compression, see, again, it can be done with the help of hashing techniques. Okay, that is the only method with the help of which we can reduce the number of comparisons. Okay, so we need to use the data structures here like hash trees in order to reduce the number of comparisons. That is, it means that no need to compare each of the candidate item sets with every transaction here, which we will be following in the brute force approach. In brute force approach, we will be comparing the candidates with the every transaction here. That needs to be done only in this approach, brute force approach. But here, since we are using the efficient data structures here, So we can reduce the number of, that is comparisons which we are doing with the transactions. Okay, so these are the strategies which we will be following in order to reduce the complexity of the algorithm. That is, reduce the number of candidate item sets using a priori principle, and second one is reduce the number of comparisons. Okay, so now see here, coming to the first one, that is reducing the number of candidate item sets. So for that, we have got one of the principle that is called as an a priori principle. Okay. So a priori principle, it is used in order to reduce the number of candidate item sets. See, ultimately, my aim here is, in case of association rule mining, I want to find the association rules which are having high confidence. So if you want to generate the high confidence rules, see, before that, in the previous step, you need to generate the frequent item sets here. So in the frequent item set generation, if you have got the more number of candidate item sets, then it will be computationally expensive. So in order to reduce the computational complexity, so for the generation of the candidate item sets, so we are following one of the principle that is called as a priori principle. So I'll give you the definition now. So a priori principle states that if an item set is frequent, then all the subsets of that item sets will also be frequent. If you have got any item set here, okay, set of items, if it is frequent, then all the subsets of that item set will also be frequent. That is the a priori principle. Okay, I will give you the example, you'll understand it. Just try to understand the definition here. If an item set is frequent, then all the subsets of that item set will also be frequent. If an item set is not frequent, then all the subsets of that item set will also be not frequent. That is the a priori principle. See, this a priori principle, it is based on one of the that is property that is called as the anti-monotone property. Okay, so anti-monotone property, so it is mentioned here. So see here, if you got the two, that is item sets here, x and y, and this x is subset of y. Okay, so here this x is an item set, it is a subset of the item set y here. So if x is a subset of y, then the support of x will be greater than or equal to support of y. That is obvious. Okay, since this x is a subset of y here, so the support count of the subset will be higher than the support count of the superset. That is the anti-monotone property. See, on this property, see, this principle is based. Okay, so anti-monotone property, see, it is the property which states that the support count of the subset will be greater than or equal to support count of the superset. If you got the two item sets here, x and y, if x is subset of y, then support count of or support of this item set x will be greater than or equal to support of y. So that is called as the anti-monotone property. Okay. So now let's move to the example. So see here, see this diagram, see it is showing the that is frequent item set generation that we have followed using the lattice structure. So this is the lattice structure. Okay, that is the method we have used here in order to generate the frequent item sets. Okay, so as I said, the disadvantage obvious is that if you got the 5 items here, total number of that is subsets that is generated here is, or the total number of candidate item sets generated here is 2 raised to 5 minus 1, that is 31 total candidate item sets will be generated. Okay, so it is expensive. So now we can use the a priori principle here in order to reduce the number of candidate item sets or the exponential search space. So see here, see the item set, if you consider this one, that is CDE. Okay, so if it is frequent, then all the subset of these item set CDE will also be frequent. So we can keep such item set here. Okay, so if CDE is frequent, then what are the subsets of this? Subsets will be CD, CE, and then DE, and then single items are CDE and then null set. See, all these are subsets of CDE. If this is frequent, okay, then all the subsets will also be frequent. Okay, so here we have considered the CDE as one of the frequent item set. Then if CDE is frequent, then all the subsets will be frequent. That is the a priori principle. If an item set is frequent, then all the subsets of that will also be frequent. Now coming to one more example. So see here, if this AB is infrequent, okay, if this is infrequent, okay, then all these supersets of that item set will also be infrequent. So superset means that in which all of these frequent item sets it is present. This AB is present. So if you observe here, see AB is present in this ABC and then ABD and then ABE and then ABCD, ABCE, ABD and then ABCD. See all these are supersets of AB. See if AB itself is infrequent, then no need to find whether these ABC, ABD, ABE and then ABCD and then ABCD, all these are frequent or not. We can just remove them from the frequent item set generation process. That is the a priori principle advantage. Okay. So one of the example which I shown is here. See if one of the item set is frequent here, then all the subsets of that will also be frequent. If CD is frequent, then all the subsets CD, CD, CE and then DE, CDE and then null set. So all these will be frequent. So we can consider them in the frequent item set generation. Suppose if an item set is infrequent, like if AB is infrequent, then all the supersets of that, what are the supersets here? ABC, ABD, and then ABE, and then ABCD, and then ABCE. All these will be infrequent. So no need to consider them in the, that is candidate generation process or in the frequent item set generation process. So like this, we can reduce the complexity using the a priori principle. So a priori principle, so it is one of the principles that we will be following in order to reduce the number of candidate item sets. That is, we want to reduce the complexity of the algorithm here, candidate generation algorithm. So in order to reduce the complexity of the algorithm, we need to reduce the number of candidate item sets. So these number of candidate item sets, they can be reduced using a priori principle. Okay, so a priori principle states that if an item set is frequent, then all the subsets of that item set will also be frequent. So it is based on the monotone property or the anti-monotone property here. So for example, if you got the two item sets X and Y, if X is subset of Y, then support of X will be greater than or equal to support of Y. So since this is subset, so subset support count will be greater than the support count of the superset. Okay. So the example I have given. So if this CD is frequent, then all the subsets of that, that is CD, CE, and then DE, and then CDE, and then null, all these will be frequent. So in the same way, if an item set is infrequent, then all the superset of that will also be infrequent. Okay. So that is, we will be pruning here. So this method which we are following here in order to reduce the exponential search space based on the support. So it is called as support based pruning. Support based pruning andre. So we are reducing the that is search space here, which is required to find the candidate item sets. Okay, we don't need to consider all these item sets. So using the support, we are reducing the number of candidate item sets. So that strategy is called as support based pruning. So pruning means removing. So we are removing these item sets from the frequent item set generation process, because according to a priori principle, we already know that if this is infrequent, then all the supersets will also be infrequent. Okay. So this is about the a priori principle. Okay. So in the next class, we shall discuss about some of the problems on this a priori principle. Okay. So problems, see, definitely they will be asked in the examination. Say, I will be explaining that. Okay. So don't miss the class, next class. Okay.